Hi, I'm Reverend Jake Sabe, and welcome to Children's Bible Stories. Alright children, our story for today is going to be the story of Saul being proclaimed king. So in our last video we did the story of Saul being anointed king. So Samuel had already taken the oil and had anointed Saul as king, but now he was going to call everyone in Israel together so that he could actually proclaim to them who the king was going to be. And so Samuel went to the town of Mizpah, and there he called the people of Israel to come to receive their king. And so all the people started coming, and as they were coming out, they were all dropping their bags in a big pile over in the corner there. They were making a big baggage pile. That's where they had to drop all their bags off as they came, because, you know, people are traveling from all over Israel, and they can't bring all their because people are coming from all over Israel and they have to drop their bags off as they get to Mizpah. And so there's a big pile of bags, and there was a big pile of bags there of all the stuff that they had from their travels. And so Samuel came out, and he first started by telling the people that from the days that God brought the people out of Egypt, they had no king, because the Lord God was their king. But since the people had grumbled against God and had demanded a king, God had decided to give the people what they asked for, and he was going to give them a king. And now God was not going to just give them any king, he was going to give them a bad king to really teach those people of Israel a lesson. And that is exemplified by this very story of Saul. Now, before we continue with our story, I forgot to mention that today we're joined with my helper, acolyte Heinrich. You want to say hello, Heinrich?
Hi.
And so Samuel had all the people of Israel gathered there at Mizpah, and he began to cast lots. You know what lots were, Heinrich?
Dice.
Yeah, they're kind of like dice. They're not exactly dice, but it was a way of like rolling something, but rather than just being like our dice where you roll the dice and they just come up randomly, these were special dice that God commanded the Israelites to use, that God was going to use to tell something. So the dice weren't just random, they were inspired by God. And even though Samuel knew who the king was going to be, he still went through this process of casting lots to show the people of Israel that this wasn't just Samuel picking some random person. This person was chosen by God. And so Samuel cast lots, and it fell on the tribe of
Benjamin.
Yep, and so all the Benjaminites had to come forward. And then Samuel went and cast lots again. And this time it fell on the clan of the Matrites.
The Matrites.
And then he cast the lots again, and it fell on the house of Kish, and on the son of Kish named
Saul.
And then everybody stopped for a second. And they looked around, and they thought, where is he? Like, the Benjamites are here, the Matrites are here, Kish and his sons are here, but where's the actual person that the lot fell on? Where is Saul? And so Samuel inquired of the Lord. He said, God, where's Saul? And God said,
hiding in the baggage.
Yes, because even though Saul had been anointed king, he didn't really want to be king. Samuel had already anointed Saul as king in our last story. And so when Samuel told everyone in Israel, everyone come to Mizpah, I'm about to announce who the king is, Saul knew that it was going to be him who was going to be announced to be king. And he didn't really want to be king. And so he was hiding, hoping, oh, maybe if I hide over here, they won't find me, they can't make me king. But God told Samuel, Saul's hiding in the baggage. And so all the people went and they grabbed Saul and they dragged him out. And they brought him before Samuel. And Samuel declared that Saul was their new king. And they made Saul king. And they all started to cheer out,
Long live the king.
Long live the king! Long live the king! And from that moment on, Saul was now going to be the king of Israel. And the last thing Samuel did before they all went away is that he read to the people the rights and the duties of the kings, and he wrote them down in a book, and he laid it up before the Lord. Now we don't know what book Samuel had, because we don't have a copy of that. We just have these books of Samuel's, but these were written by later people telling the stories of the life of Samuel and the kings. So this book of Samuel isn't actually a book written by Samuel. But we do have in the book of Deuteronomy, God gave Moses a list of rights and duties of the king of Israel. So it's very likely that Samuel may have just read from the book of Deuteronomy, and then he wrote down a copy of that and he set it before the king as it's like a special book, because it's not a whole book of the Bible that Samuel had there. It was just a little booklet that said, okay, this is what the king's meant to do. And that, children, is our story for today of Saul being proclaimed king. Thank you, Acolyte Heinrich, for helping us out. Hope you kids have enjoyed this video. I've been your host, Reverend Jake Zabel. Goodbye and God bless.